same person on everything, so that gets kind of difficult if you've been moving around.
It's like Tetris.
Yeah. It can be, but Tetris.
So, say if we went to a school like that y'all don't cover, and we wanted to go into the Army afterwards, what would you do then?
Then, as long as you are a board-certified vet, then what we would do is you would apply for a direct commission. And I don't know what the bonus is for active duty. I know for reserves it's $75,000 over 3 years for reserve vet. But the process itself is the same. You still need the physical, still do the application. We just need more, documents based on the fact that you've already been through vet school.
Do we have, is the commit time the same? Like, y'all aren't paying for anything?
Yeah, the minimum commitment is going to, you're going to take a bonus typically. The minimum commitment time is going to be 3 years to come in. Now, here's the other thing that I failed to mention, and I'm surprised you didn't catch me on this. You're slacking. The MSO, mandatory service obligation. Everybody who comes in any branch of military service comes in for 8 years. Okay? So the guy who enlists straight off the street thinks he got a 2-year enlistment. He belongs to Sam for 8 years. Now, here's how that works. You've got your 2 years of active duty. The other 6, he would remain on what's called the IRR, the Inactive Ready Reserve. It's basically a database of people, so that if we needed somebody off of that specialty, that we could call them back up. So it's not the draft, but it's the concept. You're on a list. Now, if you go through medical school and a residency, your residency time counts towards that payback. So you're gonna eat your MSO up anyway, just by doing your residency and the payback for the scholarship. Yours will be done. Anybody else, if you, like dental, if you go straight from dental school and on to active duty and you don't do any kind of advanced general dentistry, then you're going to owe your 4 years for the scholarship, 4 years you'll be on that list. Okay? So, like I say, it always totals up to 8 years.
Is that true just for the Army, or is
no? That's all branches.
That's all
of service.
all branches.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe some of the branches had more than 8 years, but they don't.
No.
So it's
It's all 8 years. And like I say, I don't know of anybody who's been called up on that list, but it's possible. So if we were to go to war with Iran, hey, maybe we'd be called. But and the important thing too, if you decided you're done with the Army, you're done with your MSO, if you don't want to be on that list anymore, there's a certain way to get off of that list. You have to resign your commission to be pulled off of that list. I mean, I'm getting way down the line with that, but there are some people, actually I heard that during Desert Storm, there were some doctors who were complaining that, well, I haven't done anything in the Army for 10 years. Yeah, but they remained on that list. They still got promoted during the time that they were in, and all that time was counting towards a retirement down at the end. So
while you're on the list, you're getting...
What's that?
So while you're on that list, it's counting for something?
Yeah, it's very, very minimal. But yeah, if you stay on that list, it's still time accrues for you, and they will still promote you at certain intervals. So, I mean, like I say, that's way down the line, but if you come in and you decide down the line you're going to get out, remember what I told you. Just to ask the question anyway of how do I get my name off of that list if I don't want to be on it.
Another advantage is retirement, because if you go into med school, you're working. You start your retirement when you're in med school. Those 4 years or
no?
not?
Those don't count for anything like that. It's when you start your residency.
Residency.
That counts towards your retirement.
So that starts building, and you can retire. You can retire in 20 years. So if you start and you do a 4 or 5 or 6 year residency, then you pay back 4 years. So you've already put in 8 years toward your 20 years of retirement. So you're almost halfway to your retirement from the Army. You could possibly retire from the Army when you're 35 and then be making that, did I get that?
Well, 35 is a little young, unless you're finishing medical school when you're 50.
Well, I'll just pull that out of my head.
But,
you get 40.
I'm
I'm 60-something. I'm not retired yet. So if you can retire at 40, 45, you're doing.
Oh, it's great. I've got right at 5 years left.
You got 5 years left. So how old are you?
I just hit 40 in August.
40? And you got 5, you gonna retire at 45.
That's my wife's
Full
term.
retirement in the military at 45.
I get you in one second. It's a great deal because now the important thing there is it's 50%. If you stop at 20 years in a day, you get 50%. Okay, but it's of your base pay. Okay, so that extra doctor pay you got, and that housing allowance you got, that doesn't count. Okay, it's 50% of your base pay, which is still not bad. My wife's grandfather is a retired 06 in the Navy. He makes 10 times now in retirement what he ever did 35 years ago when he was still on active duty. So you still get your incremental raises and everything while he's in there. So his reserve, or not reserve, but retirement paycheck each month is right around $6,000. I mean, that's not too bad for. He lives on the coast in Florida, so he does quite well. But,
So you still get health insurance?
You do. It's a little bit different now than it used to be. There is a small fee that you have to pay. It's not nearly what you would pay with regular health insurance. Yeah. But TRICARE, it does cost you a little bit of money. I'll get you first, and then you. Yeah.
Okay, my understanding of retirement pay right now is at 20-year mark, it's 50% of the average of your last 3 years of service of officer pay.
Yep.
And it increases each year by 2.5% up to 30 years of service at 75% of the average of last 3. Is that correct?
That is absolutely correct.
Okay.
Wow, Red.
Who put it in here? Right. But yeah, and so that. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. So 20 years, and then you can get up to 75% if you want to hang around for 30 years. So it's a good deal. Yes, sir.
All right. If you stay for 20 years and then retire, can you be a doctor? Like, is there any rule for that? Like, can I go work as a doctor and make retirement money?
Oh yeah.
That's the big.
Absolutely.
That's the beauty of it.
Yeah, that's you could turn around if you worked at we'll keep using Brooke Army Medical Center as an example. You worked one day, you're a colonel, what's your last name?
Al-Haj.
Colonel, yeah.
Al-Haj.
Al-Haj, Colonel A. So,
Colonel A.
so you are, Colonel A one day, physician on staff. You retire. The next day you come back, you could be a contract doc or a Department of the Army doc working in the exact same clinic. Now you're making civilian pay and your retirement pay.
And you
get a
go
lot
for
of
another
guys.
20 years doing that.
Yeah,
You pick
and
up a
get
second
2
retirement.
retirements because the double dipping stuff was ruled out a few years ago. So you can do that on government jobs. That time that you were in the service counts towards your retirement and your GS level. So you don't make as much as a government doc as you would as a civilian doc, but just for retirement purposes, it's another good deal. So yeah.
Okay, at the general level, through 1 through 3 stars that you're allowed in the medical corps, doesn't like the board certification, all that stuff. Do you move towards a purely administrative, or do you still practice medicine at that
A
level?
lot of it is up to you. It's a career track that you want to get into. I see a lot of guys get in and they realize that they really like command, so they want to try and get that command track, and they almost stop seeing patients. However, you are still required to see patients to keep up your board certification and everything. You still have to do your CMEs and all that. So, for instance, my boss at Army Material Command was a deputy surgeon. We didn't have any, patients in that office, so he would work at the physicals clinic, which is located right next door. He would see patients that way. So you can get away from it, and they will try to get you to do some administrative jobs, but it's not something that you absolutely have to do. You can stay out of that track. Yep.
All right. I got a question. You covered medical waivers earlier. Can you explain religious waivers in that process?
Religious waivers.
Yes.
We'd have to cover that 101 because I'm not sure what. There's very few religions that the Army doesn't recognize, and I'd have to get the list.
Yeah.
I don't even know what.
I mean, I'm only aware of one type of religious waiver I was looking at earlier. So.
Okay.
All right, you got to share with us, Red. What are you talking
You
about?
got me there.
Oh, okay. Well, AFJI 48-110, paragraph 13. You'll. No, I'm serious. I have it in my back pocket. Well, it covers like you know how particular like vaccines are made from aborted fetuses' line cells.
Yeah.
Well, like there's been several news articles like Catholics or Jewish people or Christians in general being offended by injecting aborted cell lines into their systems because that's goes against biblical law. So there's been waivers set up in military law for that. But there's different things. It's not too explaining as far as the medical corps and like the affiliation requirements and all that and the structure of it. So can't explain that.
Yeah, I can't speak specifically to that. As far as a medical waiver to come into the service, then I would prefer to talk to you offline because there's some things, but there's very few religious lines that you could follow that would require a waiver to come into service. It sounds like what you're talking about is more an individual waiver because you didn't want to take a specific vaccine, and that would be an individual one-on-one process.
So Red, have we answered all your questions at this time?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
Anybody else?
This has been extremely informative.
Good.
Thank you both for being here tonight.
It's our pleasure.
Thank you for being candid and allowing us to grill you.
Oh, that's fine. It's more fun that way.
I know, I appreciate it. And guys, we got plenty of food over there,
Yeah,
so
please.
if the hungries are back, go get another sandwich, please, please.
And, what I'd like to do in the future, if we can schedule it again, the same type of group, and I'll get a doc, a physician, I'll try to get a vet, see if I can get them all here at the same time, and that way you can grill each of them and ask them all those, medical or whatever specific questions.
And I also can get you in contact with recent students that are now in med school and dental school that are in the program. And it would be enlightening for you to hear from them, because I know two guys especially. One was just sold on this 200%. The other one really, Wes, he went through all kinds of, I'm going to go, he tried to go National Guard. You can actually go National Guard with something similar to this.
Yeah, and I can't speak to that program. I know they have something that you'd have to really talk to the National Guard recruiter specifically because a lot of their issues lately have been funding.
Yes.
I do know that part. So,
And he got into that and found out there was a lot of, uncertain things. But he investigated, Wes McElwain did, he investigated all of the branches and all. So it might be good for you to talk to a student that has actually signed up. And I was at the dental school back 2 Fridays ago, and I would say that there was 70-something students in the class. I'd say at least 20, if maybe about 15 of them are on some type, either the Army, the Navy, or the Air Force. So this is something that a lot of students are doing, and there's a lot of advantages for doing it. Okay.
Thanks again. I appreciate your time.